Okay. Okay, the sign again says, "What's outrageous? Poverty wages." This is another sign put up by a union, and it is accusing a company that organizes people of canceling their contracts with them. In other words, if you're going to have a contract with a union and your instincts are pay poverty wages, you need to get rid of your union. That's the whole point of this message. You know, you could blame the retirement nursing home operator, or you could blame the union, or you could blame yourself. One way or another, something is incorrect. Chief Seattle continues. Now, what's really going on with the situation? We have to have a lot of healing. A lot of healing. Chief Seattle. Okay, now that you've seen that the signs again are all around, once again, someone wearing a dark cap will say, well, unions always want more money. It's a union sign. Caution if you are considering, I don't know, this is very dark. If you are considering, my friend here, Chief Seattle, to be okay, now that we've come to the conclusion of this video, I just want to remind you, there is no solutions using old technologies, such as everything here on planet Earth has got to be thrown away. It was designed at low levels of consciousness, mostly to control humans. That's all I got to tell you. Meditate multiple times a day. Every time you've got a 10-minute coffee break, get yourself a glass of water, go to a quiet place, and meditate. If you need to learn how to meditate, sit down. It's always good to sit down. I got my water. What you're going to do is relax. I'm not grinning. I don't have a shit-eating grin on my face. No, I don't. I basically have got, I don't know what I look like to you. To me, I look like an old man staring at a phone. I'm not really staring at the phone. I'm staring over top of the phone at the view beyond. I saw a butterfly fly by. I'm looking at the flowers and the plants and the trees. That's about it. Now, I am talking here to, the phone for you to hear. Okay, so that was my meditation. It was just a short one. You could do that on your coffee break. I didn't close my eyes, as you could see, but I calmed myself. And there were a little bit of monkey mind going on. I could hear, like thoughts. Sometimes, monkey mind happens and it's called like the ear bug, when you got a song you heard on the radio at some point, and then it starts playing in your head. And you can't stop it. But it's a good place. I mean, if you sat down. Okay, I've got Britney Spears playing a song in my head. Okay, this is a perfect learning opportunity. Britney Spears is playing in my head. What does it mean? It means I am aware of Britney Spears' music playing. It sounds just like I heard it on the radio. I'm going to label that as Britney Spears. In other words, it's not me. I'm aware of it, just like if I had the radio on, I'd be aware of whatever music is coming over the radio. I'm aware of it playing in my head. That is a really good lesson. Why? Because it is. You are awareness. And you're aware that despite the fact there's no radio playing, you've got an earbug. And it's Britney Spears playing a song in your head. You have grown spiritually and in consciousness because you have identified yourself as being the thing that is aware, and you also are not what you are being aware of. It's playing in my head, aren't I in my head? No. Surprisingly, you are not even your body. You are awareness. And most of the time you're aware of your surroundings through your body. It's like your awareness is housed in a body. But the point is that you have learned a little bit about meditation. And if there's like all kinds of stuff going on in your mind, you can still meditate despite that. Because you can remember, I'm awareness and all of this stuff is going on in my head. Or I've got a pain in my back, or a stitch in my side, or my feet hurt. Or there's a bad smell coming from the sewer. Or there's too much light. And, I'm squinting my eyes because it's too bright. Or I can't see enough, I need a flashlight. But you've got awareness of these things. So you've learned something. It's a different kind of meditation, but it's basically, once again, you calm down as much as you can, and you are like at the eye of the hurricane. If you remember hurricanes, in the dead center of a hurricane, it's calm. The Neil Young song, Like a Hurricane, is, she was like a hurricane, there's calm in her eye. Okay, that's all I have to tell you right now. But the whole point of the matter is humans using old ways, unions, governments, corporations, every other kind of way that we're organized, are not going to be able to survive. We're not. Because these things are failing us constantly. All of this stuff has got to get disassembled. Who's going to do it? Conscious people who meditate all the time. It will work. It will work. It will work. If you have any questions, instead of asking me, you have got to go and ask yourself. How do I ask myself? You sit down. How are we going to survive? And then you're quiet for as long as it takes. Then you're not asking other people, or you're not going all over the place in books and YouTubes and everything trying to figure it out. Based upon, you don't know if these other people are meditating. That's the only way you're going to get good answers. And if you're depending upon somebody else who meditates, for their answers, it's wrong. You can't understand what I'm saying. You can't. I went, what did I say? That's what it's like when you're listening to other people. There's too much noise. Noise is not just like crashing cymbals. It's because you don't understand what the person is really meaning. You're guessing. That's why students, they go and they take a course, and sometimes some of them fail. They were at the course. Why did they fail? Because they didn't understand. Despite listening to the lectures, they didn't understand. So you cannot depend upon other human beings to answer questions for you. You have to go within. You have to meditate. If you got a question, you're going to sit as quietly as you can for as long as you can. And then you're going to use discernment. Because if you get some goofy answer, like, how are we going to survive? And it says to you, this is a goofy answer. Okay, the goofy answer is, we're not going to survive. We're going to drop dead. That's a goofy answer. So you have to use discernment. If you get an answer like that, in other words, massive fail, epic fail, then you're going to throw away that answer. And what has happened? You got what's known as a ghoul feed. What are ghoul feeds? Just what I gave you. Discernment is another thing you have to learn besides meditation. Because just because you meditate and you get an answer, it doesn't mean it's right. because we live in many different kinds of fields around us, consciousness fields, and many of them are very low vibration. And if these low vibration fields are affecting you, that's a ghoul feed, because they're low vibe. They're not higher consciousness. So what else do you have to use? What is discernment going to be? Well, you're going to have to use... You're going to have to use reason. Now, reason is something that it might even conflict with your higher wisdom at times. But reason is going to be something you're going to use for your discernment. In other words, reason, which calibrates on the scale of human consciousness in the 400s. Reason is basically what the best minds of the past used to build society the way it is. And it was very successful to get us this far. So, if you get a ghoul feed, when you say, what are we going to do to survive? And it says, just, accept the fact you're going to drop dead as a society. Reason would say, I wouldn't do that. That's unreasonable. So that's a discernment from reason that says, higher consciousness, it's not higher consciousness to tell you, you just have to accept that the society is going to collapse. No. But if you get a ghoul feed, which calibrates anything 199 and below on the scale of human consciousness, if you hooked into one of these ghoul feed things, it might give you something stupid like that. So if you check your information and using your reason, you say, well, that's just stupid. I mean, clearly all these people in the 400s that designed our civilization as it is didn't plan for our civilization to drop dead. They did the best they could according to their level of consciousness, and they came up with things like automobiles and insulated houses, electricity, hot and cold running water, sewer systems, power plants, schools, universities, colleges, all the stuff that we have. So if it doesn't make sense to your reason, that's one red flag. What else? Well, the thing is that reason doesn't have any love in it. In the 400s, you are still working at a low level of consciousness. It got us here, but there's no love in it. I'm not talking about I'm not talking about those apps on your phone where you can get a hookup. It's not that kind of, sex love. It's about higher consciousness love. Maybe you've never experienced it. Anyway, there is such a thing. It's called agape love, and you can look up agape on your Google and try and get some information. But from time to time, agape love is going to come up straight against reason. Because you're going to get two different answers. Reason is going to say A, and then agape love is going to say, we ain't doing A. Therefore, how are you going to tell if it's agape or a ghoul feed that is conflicting with reason? You're going to have to meditate on it a hell of a lot. And okay, an example of where reason is going to conflict with higher love is capitalism. Because reason is all about capitalism. It's profits, bottom line of the corporations, which promotes efficiency, market efficiencies, etc. But higher love is going to say, we're going to scrap the monetary system completely, and we're going to replace it with something completely different. Reason is going to say, screw you, I know what works, and we're not going to get rid of what works. It got us this far, we're not going to leave it. So, how are you going to know? Well, maybe you're going to have to go on a extended retreat. What is a retreat? A retreat is basically you're going to have to unplug from human society. So you're going to have to go... Well, when I went on a retreat, I went to a very small community and I rented an apartment and I lived there by myself. And I meditated all day for about 4 months. And I had very little interaction with other people. Basically, I went to the grocery store once in a while. Occasionally I went for a long drive, but I spent the majority of my time in the apartment. The apartment had a nice balcony, and I spent some time in the balcony, but I pretty much didn't even walk around. I stayed in the apartment for about 4 months, disconnecting from human society. How many of you are prepared to go on a retreat like that? Don't look at me like that. I did it. I did it. It's starting to rain. There comes the rain. In the end, meditate. If this stuff doesn't resonate with you, you're going to get really wet. I'm Bobby Burrows.